Today we're doing a deep dive on lysine. Now, what is lysine? It's an essential amino acid that plays a vital role in several processes, physiological processes. It was discovered in 1889 by a German chemist who isolated this from the protein casein, the dairy protein. And it's been extensively studied for its role in protein synthesis, immune function, and overall health. Now, as an amino acid, it's important that you understand amino acids are the building blocks to proteins. And so lysine being one of the 9, there's 20 amino acids. 9 are essential. What does that mean? What does it mean when we say it's essential? It means you have to eat it from your diet. You cannot produce it in your body. So if you don't eat enough of it and you become deficient, it can deteriorate your health and even kill you. So essentiality means essential for life. Now there's 11, what we sometimes call non-essential amino acids. And you can watch my crash courses on amino acids if you want to do a deeper dive. But lysine is one of the 9, very important. Now, I want to bring up some things because the American diet today is predominantly a grain-based diet. When we look at the average quantity of calories that a person consumes, we get 60 to 70% of the calories are wheat-based, and this is U.S. statistic. And so here's what I want to show you. So this is from the Journal of Cereal Science. Cereals are important sources of protein for human nutrition. Now, I would argue they're not important sources of protein because they're incomplete proteins. They don't contain enough of the essential amino acids. But you see, they go on. Cereals are important sources of protein for human nutrition, but have low quality due to limitations in the amounts of essential amino acids. So again, what I just said. Notably, though, lysine. In essence, the storage proteins inside of grain, and the proline storage proteins, are low lysine. Now, this gets worse when you use nitrogen fertilizer. So when you put nitrogen fertilizer on the ground to grow that wheat faster, it grows faster, and there's less lysine when that happens. So nitrogen fertilization reduces it even further. So again, 60-70% of the calories coming from wheat, which is devoid of adequate lysine, and it's even more devoid when you use nitrogen fertilizers, and we do. We use plenty of those. We use so much nitrogen fertilizer in the U.S. that we have growing dead zones off the coasts where you have pesticide nitrogen residue runoff because too much nitrogen inhibits growth. And see here, this is from Berkeley Lab, missing lysine link could improve plant-based nutrition. So there's this huge push for plant-based nutrition, and other than a bunch of billionaires that just want to make money off of ignorant people who don't understand nutrition, there's no scientific validity for using plant-based diets predominantly in humans. Humans are not vegetarians and not designed to be purely plant-based. That being said, if you're a vegetarian, I'm not trying to pick on you, so please reserve your comments. But see here, lysine is an important amino acid that must be supplied in our diets as our bodies can't produce it. Low lysine content in crops such as cereals and legumes results in protein, energy, malnutrition, and 30% of the population of the developing world. I would argue, because this is true in the U.S., that it's not just the developing world, what they're calling the developing world. The engineering of crops with higher lysine levels is a goal. In other words, they want to genetically manipulate more of our food because it's not nutritious, and they want to try to make a non-nutritious food be more nutritious so that they can recommend it. With this final piece of the lysine metabolic process in place, the researchers hope that a more complete understanding of lysine catabolism will aid in the successful development of stable high lysine crops to combat malnutrition globally. Why can't we just add some meat to the diet and be okay with that? Why can't we quit picking on cow farts as a cause of global warming? Why can't we just have animal protein? And this is more of the rhetoric around that. In In today's scientific world, government funds things that feed into a paradigm that is not necessarily true. And one of those is the whole global warming, that humans are the direct cause of global warming. We know that's not true. Now, that does not say that there isn't climate change that's occurring, but to blame humans and to blame cows and to blame meat farmers for that as a consequence is just a ridiculous notion. But that's what they keep trying to do, and you can see that that's very evident in this group of researchers who were able to get published. You can see here what they're saying. Cereal grains, main dietary source of energy, carbs, and plant-based or plant proteins worldwide. Currently, only 41% of grains are used for human consumption, 35% are used for animal feed. Cereals have been overlooked as a source of environmentally sustainable and healthy plant proteins. They've not been overlooked. They're just not good. And people generally want to gravitate away from using only cereal because they're not healthy when they do. So I would say they're not necessarily overlooked. But anyway, their goal, healthy plant proteins could play a major role in transitioning towards a more sustainable food system for healthy diets. Cereal plant proteins are of good nutritional quality, but lysine is often the limiting amino acid. Again, we're talking about lysine. When consumed as whole grains, cereals provide health-protecting components such as fiber and phytochemicals. Shifting grain use from feed to traditional foods and conceptually new foods and ingredients could improve protein security and alleviate climate change. So again, this is the rhetoric, right? This is the nonsense. Quit trying to scare people into thinking that eating meat is causing climate change and that we need genetically modified development of wheat in order for it to contain more lysine. It's a ridiculous notion. That's just my opinion anyway. Rapid development of new grain-based food ingredients. Rapid development, that's never a good idea when you're talking about new food grain-based ingredients. That means they're going to be doing some rapid genetic manipulation of things that they probably won't adequately study, that will probably have health consequences on people who are just trusting these guys to basically to help them. Meat analogs, here you go. Nobody wants to eat meat analogs. If they want to eat meat, they want to eat meat. This review discusses recent development and outlines future perspectives for cereal grain use. I would just say if you want to eat cereal, if you're not gluten sensitive and you're eating cereal, then eat normal cereal that's organic, grown, preferably locally milled and not got chemicals added to it. Outside of that, quit messing with our food supply and trying to tell us that meat is bad and that we need to eat an incomplete food to try to save the planet from global warming. Now that the rant is over, let's get back to lysine. So what are the key functions or key roles of lysine? Number one, it helps to build protein. We know that lysine helps to preserve our protein integrity. It helps our body from losing protein through the kidneys. So it also builds protein, but it also helps to maintain protein. So supports tissue maintenance and repair as a key building block. Strengthens collagen. Lysine residues help to create something called collagen crosslinks, which I'll show you here in just a moment. We know it boosts bone health. Lysine has several functions on bone building cells. We know it's important for energy metabolism, and we know it also enhances and aids in our immune system. Again, this is an essential amino acid, something your body can't do without because of these key roles and these key functions. So let's look at lysine's role, one of its roles in bone. So you can see here the effect of essential amino acids on bone health. Here's lysine in the green in the middle of this diagram down here. So you can see lysine right here, and you can see its impact. So one of the things that it does is it blocks a chemical called interleukin-6, which is an inflammatory cytokine that upregulates the cells called osteoclasts that break bone down. So it blocks that. It basically preserves bones from breaking down by helping to block that chemical. Now, the other thing lysine is important for in bone health, come over here, is it upregulates IGF-1. That's insulin growth factor 1, which stimulates osteoblasts. Blast means to build. These are cells that build new bone. We also know that lysine is responsible for the upregulation of nitric oxide, which also helps to stimulate osteoblasts. So it's got kind of three critical roles here as it relates to the bone maintenance, the bone turnover. One role is in blocking bone breakdown. The other two roles are in allowing bone cells that build new bone to work and upregulate. So one of lysine's other functions you see here is in the production of something called carnitine. Now carnitine, I've done an entire crash course on carnitine, but carnitine's role is very critical in human biochemistry because it helps us to metabolize fat. This is especially important for those of you who are following a keto or a carnivore type diet. You're eating a lot of fat and not a lot of carbohydrates. And what our bodies use in our cells, our bodies use carnitine to shuttle fat into energy burning. So we use carnitine as a transfer agent in a process called beta oxidation, which is how we break fat down and make it and turn it into energy. So if you don't have adequate lysine, you're going to be less efficient at generating energy from fat sources. Now, carnivore diets are definitely not low in lysine. There's plenty of lysine in a carnivore diet, but depending on what kind of keto diet that you're following, some keto diets, they're I won't say tremendously low protein, but they're low. Some of them can be lower in protein. So you just want to be aware. Lysine, you can see here, lysine goes through several chemical reactions. So we go lysine gets methylated by SAMe, S-adenosylmethionine, and it makes this next chemical in the chain, and we just follow that down through here all the way. When we get over here into the mitochondria, you can see vitamin C and iron play a role in that reaction, and then vitamin B6 plays a role in this fourth reaction, and then vitamin B3, that's NAD, plays a role in that fifth reaction. So you've got SAMe, which is a source of methionine, vitamin C, iron, vitamin B6, and vitamin B3. All are necessary to help to convert lysine into carnitine. So very, very important because we need carnitine to make energy from the fat that we eat. It's amazing too. I see a lot of people in my practice who are on a keto and even on a carnivore diet who are carnitine deficient despite the fact that they're eating ample food sources for it. One of the reasons we see that is mold in their background. There's some mechanisms where mold depletes and inhibits that process, and so especially as it relates to carnitine synthesis from lysine because of the effect that mold can have on vitamin C. Your body will burn through vitamin C to try to protect you from mold and mycotoxins. So at any rate, in a carnivore diet too is also low in vitamin C, so that's an important note to make. Now, beyond the carnitine synthesis, this is the role that lysine plays in protein production as it relates to collagen. So you see here, collagen. This bottom molecule is a healthy collagen microfibril. If you come up to the top, you see amino acid pool. You see on this left side of the diagram, you can see deficiency. When a person's deficient, and over here you can see sufficient, right? So this diagram is going to the right to show sufficiency. It's going to the left to show deficiency. And so when there's a deficiency in glycine and proline and lysine, what ends up happening, you see this arrow is emphasized, this arrow right here is emphasized, is you get bad folding of collagen protein. So you get this disorganized protein fiber that can't really be used by the body. You get more of that than you get good protein folding, which is that bottom arrow. Whereas over here, you notice the emphasis is on this arrow, where you get more good folding of collagen proteins that lead to stronger, better collagen production. Now, and so lysine plays a role in that. You can see over here from this study directly. So if we look here at the highlights, this came from this particular study. This is on osteoarthritis. In osteoarthritis, there's a deficiency and a degeneration of collagen. One of the reasons why Many people get older, their stomach acid is reduced, and they absorb less of the protein they're eating from their food, or they're taking medicines that block stomach acid, and of course, they're not being able to get adequate lysine. And so a lot of times, it's doctors blaming arthritis on age, when in fact, it's really arthritis based on poor diet and digestion inhibition that happens as people get older. So it's not technically aging. But we know that glycine, proline, and lysine intake and supplementation can help to prevent arthritis through the production of healthy collagen and the maintenance of healthy collagen. One of the things, if you look at collagen, it's a triple helix, and in between each little ladder rung, you have these cross linkages so that it looks more like this. And this is why lysine is important. Lysine strengthens those cross-links, and it's what allows your collagen to be strong and elastic. Now, copper and vitamin C also play a role in forming these cross-links. So those nutrients are very important for healthy collagen. And without healthy collagen, we get arthritis, we can get easy bruising, we can be more prone to fractures, we can be more prone to injuries, sprains, strains, and muscle problems if we're trying to work out, etc. I want to show you a couple of additional studies here on lysine and some of its functions as it relates to children and adolescents. And so what they're doing here in this study, out of the Journal of Advanced Research, is they were adding lysine supplements to kids that had cereal predominant diets. And this is the U.S. too. I mean, most of these babies now, mothers are feeding them cereal, but they're adding lysine supplements. And so here's what they found when they added lysine. They got, and they did comparative. So they did, children without the addition and then children with the addition. And so what they got in the children with lysine was better height, better weight, better Z-scores, better body mass index, increased skin fold thickness, so that, again, protein production was greater, so their body parts were thicker. They had better nitrogen retention. What does that mean? That's protein retention. Nitrogen is basically what's one of the fundamental components to protein. And then they had had better developmental quotients, and then serologically in their blood, they had better hormone production. I'll show you some of that in just a minute, which hormones. Better immunological indicators, enhanced protein production, enhanced bone metabolic indicators, and better red blood cell indicators. So lysine deficient diets in kids can really affect their ability to properly grow, and that's not good. You've got children at home and they're eating largely cereal diets, especially. That's not good. Put some meat on that plate for those children. Now, here's another aspect to the study where they actually compared using oral lysine 10 grams a day for a year, and these are all in kids that are undergrown, right? So these are in children that are formally diagnosed as not growing. So they did a group where they had 57 kids between the ages of 5 to 14 not growing, and children that same situation. They had 57 that they gave growth hormone solution. So this is a comparative, right? On the green side, we've got growth hormone, and on the kind of red side, we've got giving them lysine daily. And so here's the bottom line down here. Lysine worked better than growth hormone in this study. So that you see overall success ratio of the treatment, lysine was 95.21% successful, growth hormone was 82.31% successful. Here's what lysine did. It improved weight, height, growth rate, bone age. It improved something called BAP, which is bone alkaline phosphatase. It's a chemical that helps make bone. It improved osteocalcin, which is a chemical hormone that helps make bone. It improved these hormones over here, insulin-like growth factor and vitamin D. Taking lysine actually improved vitamin D levels. Remember, vitamin D is a prohormone. So At the end of the day, anthropometrically, a better weight, height, better tricep skin thickness, better body mass index, better mid-upper arm size, circumference, and in the blood, improved hemoglobin, also enhanced and improved serum protein. So albumin, prealbumin, and transferrin were better. These are important carrier proteins in the blood. But they also had better T cell levels, CD3, CD4, CD8 T cells. These are very important immune cells. They had better natural killer cells. They had better interleukin-2. And then look here in the middle, IgG, IgA, IgM. What are those? Those are antibodies. And so when kids can't make adequate quantities of antibodies, they're more susceptible to becoming ill. And that last one, C3, that's complement. So kids on lysine, these were the benefits. So imagine kids with a lysine deficient diet. Look, they're not going to grow as well, but they're also going to be immunocompromised, and they're also going to be hormonally compromised. So lysine's very, very important, and definitely want to endeavor to make sure that we're getting it in the diet.